I'd like to call to order the Minnesota Senate Health and Human Services Committee. It's Tuesday, March 28th, and 2023, and we do have a quorum present. Our first bill we will take up on the agenda. We might have to move some bills around, but first bill we'll take up is Senator Pappas, Senate File 2503.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm very happy to see my testifier is on Zoom. I see her name up there.
Yes. Please go ahead and present your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I'm here today to present a bill that we actually did fund a number of years ago. It establishes a program to fund public awareness and education activities on the health effects of skin-lightening products that contain toxic ingredients like mercury and hydroquinone. Skin-lightening products come in many different forms, including creams, soaps, lotions, and ingestible pills. Individuals use them to intentionally change their skin color. Toxic skin-lightening creams are used to attain unrealistic and racist beauty standards. The skin-lightening product industry, although it's illegal in this country, is an $8 billion global industry and growing. The toxic idea that darker is somehow less than lighter and the very real consequences of what's known as colorism have created the market for skin-lightening products. Skin-lightening products are sold around the world, including Minnesota, and these products are widely available in ethnic stores, other large retailers, and online. Products contain a range of harmful chemicals, including mercury, hydroquinone, and steroids that promise to lighten skin or reduce dark spots, but have a range of impacts, including reproductive health and neurological health. Toxic chemicals in the skin-lightening products can lead to discoloration, damaged skin, kidney damage, and birth defects, including neurological damage in early childhood. The toxic ingredients like mercury and hydroquinone are not listed on the skin-lightening product label. This funding will support educational campaigns around the health risks of skin-lightening products, including mercury and other toxic chemicals in these products. And they're really widely used and available in the Somali community, in the Latina community, mostly women, but often men will use them as well. A couple of years ago, I had an LA who was East Indian, and she was fairly dark-skinned, and Kita, and she actually testified the last time. And she said she gets a lot of pressure from her family to use skin-lightening creams. So with that, I'd like to just turn it over to my testifier.
Thank you, Senator Pappas. And yes, we have coming by Zoom, we have Amira Adawe. And please state your name for the record and welcome to the committee. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, Madam Chair and member of the committee. My name is Amira Adawe. I'm the Executive Director of the Beerwell project. I have been working on this issue for the past 12 years, both research and educating communities. As Senator Pappas indicated, many communities of color use skin-lightening products consist of creams and soaps to intentionally change their skin color. Women are using twice or 3 times a day, and they mix multiple products that contain mercury, hydroquinone, and highly pollutant steroids, which steroids are used sometimes medication, but the amount of steroid level that they use is highly toxic. And they mostly use in home. So what happens is that once they mix, they put it in the refrigerator, which contaminates food and drinks, and then also it contaminates the whole house because of the mercury vapor. 4 years ago, the Department of Health did biomonitoring study to look at and test at in-home exposure. And so the air were, high levels of mercury. And so what that indicated is that exposure is not only limited to those who live in home or those who are using, but also other community members who are visiting them. So it's a high exposure. Many women are using during pregnancy and breastfeeding. And so mercury from skin lighting can go through the breast milk and impact the child's health. Similarly, during pregnancy. And so we are talking about high impact of early childhood neurological problems, kidney issues, and also in terms of adults, women developing neurological issues. Most recently, last year, November, CNN reported in a study that the Minnesota Department of Health and Pollution Control Agency did a Somali woman that lives in Minnesota losing a partial of her vision due to mercury exposure from skin lighting. So we do know that exposure is happening in communities, multiple communities. And so what this bill will help is to address and raise awareness on these toxic chemicals that are really actually hugely unregulated. Yes, we have laws that ban, but if there's no enforcement, these products are widely available in the communities, people have access to it. So what this bill will help is to educate communities, consumers especially, so they understand the harmful of these products, because the labels don't even list these toxic chemicals. And so this will help to expand the education that we're doing already in communities. And as Senator Pappas said, this is a multiple communities, all the immigrant communities that have historically experienced colorism. And what colorism is that skin color discrimination within groups and outside groups. And so it's a deeply rooted issue, and this bill will help to address both the health side, but also the social aspect that contribute to the inequity of this issue. And it will improve the health outcomes of all of these communities. So thank you so much.
Madam Chair.
Senator Pappas.
Just one thing I wanted to add is Ms. Adolescent was doing a radio show, I don't know if she still is, on Somali radio to further educate the community, and has been working on this issue. And the Department of Health has been also involved with educating the public on the dangers of skin lightening products.
Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Adolescent, for your work in this area. It does seem like a really a large issue, and we should be working on addressing. Any questions, members? Senator Utke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And looking at the fiscal note, and just under the assumptions where they kind of give us some of the information, in the 2021 biennium, we did the same thing. There was an appropriation of $200,000. Any idea, what did we learn from that experience? Is there data gained that we can use as we move forward?
Senator Pappas.
Madam Chair and Senator Utke, that's an excellent question, and I guess we'd have to ask the Department of Health, because they oversaw that grant program. I believe they gave a grant to the Minneapolis Department of Health. Beautywell did not get one of those grants, but there were a couple of others that were given out. But I have not talked to them about what the results are. But it's a big and ongoing problem, and it was just one-time money.
Hi, this is
Ms. Adolescent.
Madam Chair, Senator. This is Amira again. Yes, so the money went to the Department of Health, and the Department of Health, the large portion of the money was funded to City of Minneapolis. Beautywell, we get a very small funding out of that grant to do education, and so we have done tons of education materials in multiple languages. We have done a lot of community outreaches, and then also the radio show that Senator Pappas talked about, which is also now a podcast. And so we have done a number of events, a number of educational outreach, which was really helpful. But the large portion of the money went to City of Minneapolis. So I will let the Department of Health talk about that. And we sent all the report to the Minnesota Department of Health.
Thank you. Senator Utke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And that kind of covered a little bit of what my next question was going to be, that our testifier covered on. And again, the Department of Health could probably weigh in and give us some more data. But I was going to ask, how will this program be different than what we just experienced a couple of years ago? And what are we doing to gain additional benefit out of this expenditure? So I don't know if there's anybody at this point, but if they could even just report back to us, that would be great.
Thank you. Yeah, Senator, okay, I think I'll ask the department if they can provide, if they do have reports, if they can provide those to us so that we could take a look at that. Senator Pappas, did you?
Just the last comment, Madam Chair, is that that was one-time money, and this is really an ongoing problem. You can't really educate enough people with just, even these small grants are helpful, but it really, I know we're looking for one-time money again, but really it's an ongoing problem.
Any other member questions, comments? Well, thank you, Senator Pappas. Thank you to your testifier as well. And this bill will be laid over for possible inclusion.
Great, thank you very much.
Next, we'll go to Senator Fateh or do you want to- Senator Morrison. Senator Morrison, we're going to take up Senate File 2090. I understand that you need to go to another committee as well today, so.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And please go ahead and begin your presentation.
Madam Chair, members, thank you for hearing Senate File 2090. This bill will increase funding for a highly successful prevention program aimed at reducing fetal alcohol spectrum disorders. A decade ago, the Community in Recovery Aiding Families in Transition, or CRAFT, pilot project was launched in Olmsted County. Because of its success, the legislature began to fund what are now commonly referred to as FASD prevention grants. Proof Alliance is a statewide organization that's dedicated to reducing the incidence of FASD in Minnesota. It's worked effectively with MDH over the years and has built sustainable and effective community partnerships that support women in recovery and their children. The state currently appropriates $750,000 each year to the Department of Health for FASD prevention grants, and this bill would increase that appropriation by $500,000 a year, allowing Proof Alliance to expand its effective program in more communities. State dollars are no doubt in high demand, but each healthy baby born to an at-risk mother will save taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars over the lifetime of an individual who might otherwise suffer a permanent brain injury due to fetal alcohol exposure. With more awareness and prevention services, we can greatly diminish the incidence of FASD in Minnesota, giving these families and individuals a chance at a healthier life and significantly ensuring that each child can live and contribute to their potential. So with that, Madam Chair, I will turn it over to my testifier.
Thank you, and welcome to the committee, and please state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Molly O'Brien. I'm the Executive Director of Proof Alliance.
Great, please go ahead.
Thank you. Well, thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony to support the FASD Prevention Grant Bill. As Senator Morrison mentioned, this bill will provide funds that help reduce the incident rates of fetal alcohol spectrum disorder across Minnesota communities. As many of you know, 8,755 babies are born with prenatal alcohol exposure each year in Minnesota. That is 13% of our beautiful babies born in this state. And prenatal alcohol exposure causes FASD, which is a disability with lifelong implications that impact brain function, development, learning, behavior, and social skills. 1 in 20 kiddos has an FASD. That is every classroom across our state. It's stunning. And the physical, mental, and emotional cost of FASD to families is devastating. And the financial cost to our state is shocking. People living with an FASD are more likely to need foster care, PCA services, waivers, medical care, mental health care, case management, and special education. And as you'll read in the letter from Humphrey, a father of a son with an FASD, living with an FASD is expensive and often requires state funds to supplement family funds. The CDC estimates that the lifelong cost of a person caring for a person with FASD is $2 million. So the return on investing in FASD prevention is profound and one of Minnesota's biggest opportunities to create healthy babies, healthy families, and healthy communities. So these FASD prevention grants provide community-based, long-term recovery support services for people that are pregnant or parenting with histories of alcohol use disorders. These programs help reduce incident rates of FASD by helping pregnant or parenting women maintain sobriety, connect with community-based resources like housing, employment, transportation, and parenting skills. They reduce the incident rates of FASD among children in Minnesota and prevent future alcohol-exposed pregnancy by providing wraparound services. And I do want to note that based on program evaluation of this work, we see reduction in rates of pregnancies exposed to alcohol exposure, decreased involvement with child protection services, decrease in the number of long-term effects of adverse child experiences, and increase in supportive parenting and overall family wellness. So current programming is resulting in awesome work across the state of Minnesota. 93% of babies are born without prenatal alcohol exposure, and in the last reporting cycle, it was 100%. The problem is, it's not enough, right? We have communities across the state that are not served, and so this important bill would expand the footprint of this work and the reach of this work across our state. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much for your testimony. And now we have a testifier by Zoom, Valerie Mengskow, and I apologize if I get your name incorrect. Please, welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record and begin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So my name is Valerie Mengskow, and I'm a woman living in long-term recovery from Rochester, Minnesota. I'm a mother of 3 children, Justice, Faith, and Grace. I've struggled with substance use disorder and mental health since the age of 12 years old. These struggles contributed to me losing custody of my 2 oldest children. In 2015, I was sitting in my probation officer's office and I was 4 months pregnant. I had recently become homeless and I had no income, no vehicle, no residence, and I had little to no hope for my future. The only thing I had was the realization that if I went back to using drugs, that I would die or end up back in prison. My probation officer encouraged me each meeting for months to join a support program for pregnant and parenting mothers that struggle with substance use. So I finally did. My initial plans were to place my child that I was pregnant with up for adoption. But a few months after I gave birth, I second-guessed my decision and stopped the adoption proceedings. I worked hard with the support and encouragement from my peers within the program, my case manager, and child protection to establish and maintain stability so I would be able to parent my daughter, Grace. My caseworker connected me to resources within the community and walked alongside me as I dug myself out of the hole that years of addiction had created. I began to heal from opening up in group and sharing my struggles with other women who were navigating similar journeys as mine. The skills and tools that I learned within this group helped contribute to not only maintain sobriety, but to be a woman actively living in recovery. I began to have hope for my future. I managed to finally, after years of struggling with unaddressed mental health issues, graduate from my first out of 15 treatment centers, and I was granted custody of my daughter Grace when she was 1 year old. Shortly after, I graduated this program for pregnant and parenting moms. After graduation from this program, I kept attending as alumni and was able to encourage new moms within the group as peer leader. A vital part of recovery is service work, and I was able to support this program that had supported me so much in a time when I myself was hopeless and struggling. 5 years later, my daughter Grace and I are happy and thriving. I recently celebrated 7 years of sobriety. I am an active advocate and mentor within the recovery community. I am attending school for social work. I serve on the Human Services Advisory Board for Olmsted County, and I now work alongside this very same program for pregnant and parenting mothers, which is called Family Advocacy, Recovery and Restoration, also known as FAR. I'm able to use my lived experience with substance use disorder and the child protection system to walk alongside, mentor, and encourage mothers who are struggling with substance use. All along my recovery journey, there were people within my life that encouraged me and believed in me when I did not believe in myself. During my time within this program, I was supported and connected to many community supports that without, I may have had a far different outcome in my story. By supporting expansion of this program, you will be providing more mothers, more children, more families within communities the opportunity to have the same impact of recovery and restoration within their lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony, and thank you for all the work that you're doing in your community. So, thank you. Members, any questions about the bill? Senator Ebler.
Well, thanks, Madam Chair. I appreciate this bill a lot, and you'll be interested to see what the bill looks like that comes out of your workshop, and I've noticed your staff drinking a lot of coffee lately as they've been working day and night, and good for them. But whatever you put, for this part of the bill, I'm going to be like so happy that you look after this. This is just one of the best ways to spend money there is. I've had such good opportunities to greet the group, and so I just want to put a big gold star on this one, Madam Chair, and hope that we can help prevent some of these just preventable tragedies. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Senator Morrison, any final comments?
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks for your comments, Senator Abler. I couldn't agree more. I want to thank Executive Director O'Brien and also Ms., I'm going to mispronounce her name, Mangskow, for sharing her testimony. It's a really brave thing to come to this place and share personal stories, and just grateful for the work that Proof Alliance is doing, and I hope that we create this opportunity so that they can expand their work. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, and thank you for coming in and testifying and showing us the impact that your program is having. So this bill, Senate File 2090, will be laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you. And Senator Morrison, are you going to present Senator Mann's bill, Senate File 2152?
Yes, Madam Chair. As a co-author, I have the honor of presenting in Dr. Senator Mann's absence, Senate File 2152, which is a bill that would provide much needed funding to support our local and tribal public health agencies to prepare for and respond to public health emergencies. Currently, our state's preparedness activities are funded entirely by the federal government with no state-level investment in the program. This bill commits $9 million per year in state funding to ensure, regardless of how federal funding may fluctuate over time, that local and tribal public health have a strong base of funding to do this important emergency preparedness and response work. Public health emergency preparedness funding supports response to a wide variety of public health emergencies, whether from infectious disease outbreaks such as COVID-19 or tuberculosis, or natural disasters like tornadoes, floods, snowstorms, power outages, and fires, or even terrorism. Past funding cuts at the federal level have resulted in less staff time and capacity for agencies to respond to emergencies. In our smallest rural agencies, a preparedness staff person may be splitting their time between multiple counties and covering a large geographic area. In larger communities, 1 or 2 staff are expected to cover emergency response for a large population of individuals. Not having adequate staffing, infrastructure, or funding compromises the ability to respond to emergencies. Our current model for preparedness makes it difficult for all communities in our state to have equitable access to resources and robust response. This bill will drastically bolster the system and build much needed infrastructure at the local and tribal level to ensure strong future response to emergencies. And with that, Madam Chair, I will turn it over to my testifier. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to the committee, and please state your name for the record and begin.
Good morning, and thank you for having me, Madam Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Amanda Lemke, and I am the Emergency Preparedness Specialist for the City of Bloomington Public Health Division, which also provides public health services for the cities of Edina and Richfield. I am also here on behalf of the Local Public Health Association of Minnesota, which represents more than 240 local public health directors, supervisors, and community health administrators across all 87 counties, as well as cities and tribes. I am here to speak in support of Senate File 2152. Thank you, Chair Wicklund, and members of this committee for hearing this legislation, and Senators Morrison and Mann for their leadership on this topic. Emergency preparedness and response are statutory responsibilities for community health boards under Minnesota State Statute 145A. Federal funding received by the state for preparedness activities has gone from $16 million in 2002 to $9.2 million in 2021. This funding is passed on to local public health, where we manage grant duties and increasingly complex emergencies with limited funding. Due to funding constraints, we at Bloomington Public Health have only little more than one full-time staff member serving around 180,000 residents across 3 cities, in addition to thousands of workers and visitors. My counterparts in Greater Minnesota face additional staffing and geographical challenges. The COVID-19 public health response was an excellent example of what can be accomplished when there is funding for preparedness activities. Local public health staff are tasked with the important duties of developing plans, making communities more resilient, and executing emergency response operations in order to protect the communities we serve. We are asking the state to invest in this system and direct stable and consistent funds to local public health so we can build upon the emergency preparedness infrastructure and prepare and protect Minnesotans from future health emergencies. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Thank you for coming today to testify. It is something that we know why we need to invest in this area. Members, questions? Senator Utke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just a comment on the bill, the way it's written here, and that the part that caught my eye is on line 1.11, and when it talks about what the department can take, 10% of the appropriation can be for administration. The numbers vary a lot. There's other bills in here today that'll have a 4%. 10% seems to be an extreme. So just a comment, not related to the fact of what the bill is about and the amount. It's just that hopefully in the end that the department won't be taking as much as is presented to us here. So thank you.
Right. Thank you. Senator Abler.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. And actually the same question, and I'm going to ask a question of the department if they want to come down about what they're going to spend the whole 10% on. But and the last bill we had, which was just a stellar bill with lean admin, it's $500,000 with a 0.2 FTE, and you can kind of argue that you need that much, and I think that's a great plenty. That's a little over 5%. But Madam Chair, you know, I was like, is this the right math? That's $900,000 to administer $9 million. And they're going to go to public health and tribes who actually are like duty bound to like spend the money wisely. And so, I don't know, is there somebody from the department that can tell me what on earth you're going to do with like 8 FTEs to look after money you're just mailing out the door? And if that's not available, Madam Chair, I think it's a question you want to ask as you put your bill together, and not just say, oh, 10%, that sounds like a good number. This should be 3% or 2 or something to get this big number. Because you know, the money's growing on trees these days, and so there's just nothing but money around. But I think you're already finding in your budget, Madam Chair, there's things you'd rather do. And the whole budget for the fetal alcohol was $526,000, $28,000 or whatever. And this is $900,000 just to like each year. So I don't see anybody coming.
Yeah,
but
I don't know if there's someone from the Department of Health who could answer the question.
But that just seems
about level of need for administrative costs.
And Madam Chair, I support the appropriation idea.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Yeah, please state your name and go ahead and answer the
Cheryl
question.
Peterson Krober, Director of Preparedness at the Department of Health. Thank you for the opportunity to explain. I believe the way it's stated is it says up to 10%, first of all, and that what we are proposing are 3 staff persons in it, so it's not adding all staff. One would do the fiscal, one would do the grants, and one would kind of lead the projects that have statewide significance. Those include, and that would be what some of the other funding would be used for, is providing a grant to LPHA for an annual conference, and that's a support, it's not the whole cost. And then additional training that we would bring in under contract.
So, Madam Chair.
Senator Abler.
Well, that's helpful.
Yeah.
But I would just, and it still seems like a lot. And 3 is like 400,000 maybe if you're hiring, you know, whatever level of staff and all that, and annually, my goodness. But is there, you know, I just thought of this just now. Do we ever have them tell us what they really spent on the FTEs? Like on that fetal alcohol grant, did you really spend $28,000? Are you really going to spend $900,000 on this, and a report back? And maybe I'll come up with an amendment that they should just report back on what they really spent when we do markup. I think there's a real interest that we'd have and to keep the department accountable. And you want the money to go where it can go and not just to some random place and then just get into the general budget. That's my only thought, Madam Chair. It's meant to be friendly. Thank you.
Senator Abler, yeah, I mean, I do agree. We do want to know, what the money is used for and understand, how it gets dispersed. I don't know, for council, I mean, this says 10% may be used. Is that, is there a better, or is it better to say up to 10%? I don't know. Is it kind of accomplish the same thing? Ms. Stengel?
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I think effectively it's the same thing. It says, 10% may be used, that implies up to. You could be more clear to say up to 10% may be used, or no more than 10%. So there are options.
Okay. Thank you. We'll maybe take a look at that and what seems the most effective way. Any other questions? Don't see any other questions. Thank you for coming to the table to answer that. And members, I do think that we are well aware that being prepared for different types of emergencies is a very important task, and we have over the years seen less investment in that preparedness than we probably should have. So thank you for your time for coming today, and this Senate File 2152 will be laid over for possible inclusion.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we will move, Senator Fateh is coming to us by way of Zoom today, and Senator Fateh, if you could present first Senate File 1852, and I believe we have an amendment.
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you so much. I'd like to move the A1 amendment.
Let's see. Senator Boldon moves the A1 amendment. Members, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The A1 amendment is adopted. Senator Fateh, please present your bill.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair and members of the committee. CornerHouse and First Witness are children's advocacy centers providing local expertise responding to children who have been impacted by abuse. There are also statewide training centers with decades of experience training law enforcement, attorneys, child protection professionals, county agencies, schools, and communities across the state of Minnesota to improve practices when supporting child victims. CornerHouse and First Witness are joining together to create a metro and statewide partnership bringing body safety training, child abuse prevention, and community support to the Twin Cities area, along with Duluth and the Arrowhead region. SF 52 provides funding for the partnership to connect with 20,000 children, parents, and professionals to increase body safety and reduce incidents of abuse. And with that, Madam Chair, I'll turn to the first testifier.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Mitzi Hobart. I'm the Executive Director of CornerHouse, and am really pleased to be here today. As you may know, more than 30,000 child victims in Minnesota are connected to a report of child abuse every year, and around 15% of those are consistently connected to a report of sexual abuse. And the status quo of what we've been doing isn't having an impact. In fact, the self-reports of abuse are rising. The 2022 Minnesota Student Survey data indicates that an increase in Minnesota's children are reporting that they have been pressured, tricked, or forced to do something sexual or did something sexual against their wishes from someone they were in a casual or serious relationship. And percents rose from 7.8% of all children in 2019 to 9.5% in 2022. So over the COVID era, that rose significantly. As organizations with decades of experience in the field of child maltreatment, we've been working to improve our community's response to child abuse, but we know that it's critical to engage adults, professionals, and children to normalize body safety concepts, to recognize potential threats, and to use safety strategies if we're actually going to keep more kids safe. In partner organizations and school districts, like St. Paul School District, suburban school districts like West Tonka, and outstate school districts like Duluth, Cloquet, Hermantown, et cetera, are asking us to train on a wide range of issues brought forth by their students. As are companies like 3M and churches and community centers like First Presbyterian Church and the Vine Community Center, both in Mankato. We've built an incredible curriculum and have a constellation of trainings on body safety, online safety, healthy adolescent relationships, assertive language, and more. We know that stronger parenting is key and have developed a number of trainings around parent education and supporting mental health. And we've built safety guidelines and safety kits, including a safety quiz that can drive conversations with kids about any worries, unsafe feelings, bullying, etc., that can become a routine check-in for families. And we know that going out into the community and equipping people with increased knowledge and skills will drive many to seek more support. Both First Witness and CornerHouse have community call lines where anyone can call and seek more information, to talk to a professional or to seek help. In just the last year, CornerHouse's calls grew 265%, from 90 in 2021 to 362 in 2022. And we only know that request for the community support is going to grow, and this bill provides additional help for families. All of this work has the voice of our advisory members and ambassadors comprised of professionals from culturally focused, gender focused, and ability focused, and LGBTQ+ focused organizations to gain vital insights on the curriculum, the delivery, and have their partnership in training. Moreover, this bill supports the initial work of expanding language accessibility of this important information, and this bill supports the inclusion of evidence-based and culturally relevant outcomes to improve our work, improve our practices within community, and inform policy. CornerHouse and First Witness are uniquely suited to do this work as experts in the field of child abuse, having decades of experience building evidence-based practices that serve as a model for hundreds of centers across the country, and statewide training authorities improving practices across the state, the U.S., and beyond. This request of $630,000, which I might add is less than what we originally had on the bill, will have significant impact, reaching 20,000 people or more in urban, rural, tribal, and suburban communities across the state. This funding is critical not only to change the status quo, to normalize body safety, and to create stronger supports to reduce events of abuse. And again, nearly 10% of children in junior high and high school are self-reporting abuse. And yet we know so many more children as young as toddlers come to our centers every day. And we know the immediate and lifelong impacts of those traumatic experiences can take for each of these children. And I certainly won't get into all the details here, but it's impossible for these events not to have an impact on their schooling, on their development, on their relationships, and on their well-being. More than 50% of the children coming to CornerHouse are assessed with serious or severe trauma symptoms, and 30% require a suicide screening. Without interventions from organizations like CornerHouse and First Witness, this only persists and grows throughout a person's lifetime. It's absolutely vital that we take in this important and meaningful steps to keep them safe. This bill makes an incredible impact and will make a difference in keeping many, many children safe. Thank you for your support of this bill and for the support of Minnesota's children.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us know all the work that you're doing. Members, do you have any questions? Senator Abler.
Well, thank you, and thanks, Madam Chair, and Senator Fateh, and to the bill. I think it's a worthy project. Just curious, I wonder how many FTEs DHS is going to allocate for this. Do you have any idea, Madam Chair?
I do not.
The fiscal note's not back yet. And, maybe I'll just leave it as a rhetorical question. But I think I like this project, and if I don't know anything about it till just today, but there is such a disparity in, it sounds like maltreatment, but also in child protection cases in these communities. And if you actually save just a couple of cases, you've more than paid back the value of it. So, but I guess DHS and Department of Health should know that we really do care about frugally managing these programs, as we expect these groups to also be frugal with the money. So thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Well, thank you, Senator Fateh. Any final comments on this bill?
Yeah, I just want to thank you all for hearing it. Thank you to the testifier for coming out. This is the group doing great work statewide for child maltreatment, child safety, and hope it earned your support.
Thank you. And Yes, I agree, Senator Abler, that, making a difference in small numbers of children's lives is still important and changes trajectories for them. So thank you for coming to testify, and this Senate File 1852 as amended will be laid over for possible inclusion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, Senator Fateh, we have Senate File 1620. Please go ahead and present your bill.
Correct. Thank you again, Madam Chair and members. Since 1970, Headway Emotional Health Services has provided essential emotional health services to children, families, and individuals in the Twin Cities and surrounding areas. Their mission is to empower people of all ages to live emotionally healthy lives. Headway operates 2 adolescent day treatment programs, one in Hopkins and one in Brooklyn Center, that are focused on middle and high school age students whose emotional health issues have resulted in multiple negative life experiences. These experiences include poor academic performance, high absenteeism, social and emotional isolation, suicidal ideation and attempts, disruptive family relationships, and multiple unsuccessful mental health interventions. Being statutorily required to provide day treatment services 12 months out of the year, Headway is looking for funding to cover the costs of transportation, student nutrition, and student learning experiences on non-school days when school districts do not provide funds. And with that, I will turn over to my testifier, Pat Dale, who can explain Headway's services and the request in more detail.
Thank you, and welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Thank you, Chair Wickland and committee members. My name is Patrick Dale. I'm the CEO of Headway Emotional Health Services. As described by the Senator, Headway provides emotional health services throughout the 7-county metro area. We have 3 physical locations: Richfield, Brooklyn Center, and Hopkins. Headway's Adolescent Day Treatment Program is unique in its emotional health focus. As a result, we are the best or only option for students whose emotional health issues are preventing them from succeeding in school. As a result, students from all over the 7-county metro area attend Headway programming. On the 53 days there is no academic instruction, our large catchment area results in transportation challenges and costs that are far higher than most day treatment providers who are limited to serving students from one school district. Looking at our handout, you will see the list of cities where students reside, and we provide transportation to get students to services and back home. We are requesting $600,000 for the biennium to support the cost of transportation and lunch for our students on the minimum of 53 days where there is no academic instruction. There are currently no funding streams to pay for transportation or food service on non-academic instruction days, such as summer break. This means that Headway must use its own dollars to cover these costs. Current Minnesota statute connects transportation to care and treatment programming with academic instruction requiring school districts to cover transportation. As a result, they will not pay on days where there is no academic instruction. Minnesota statute also requires care and treatment services to be offered year-round without regard to educational programming. Our students begin making significant behavioral and academic progress as a result of being in day treatment programming. Non-academic days bring disruption for families and students. Parents are extremely anxious on days where there is no academic programming because of the transportation and nutritional challenges that result. Providing consistent programming is a key to supporting the process our students have begun and the progress they are making, so they are able to stay on track to graduate from programming and to successfully return to their home school districts to complete their K-12 education. Thank you for your attention to this bill. Passing it would be a large step in helping Headway continue to provide the best level of support to students and families who badly need this care. I'm happy to answer any questions or provide any additional information.
Thank you. Members, any questions about the bill? Senator Abler.
Well, thanks, and I'm just trying to get my head around this. I appreciate the target audience you've got. You have quite a big group that you serve, 13,000 families every year. That's pretty good. What percent? Thank you, Madam. And what, Madam Chair, what percentage of your clients are like on state assistance, state medical assistance, or Minnesota Care? Do you know?
Mr. Dale.
Thank you, Chair. Senator Abler. For this program, we have probably about 40% of the students are on medical assistance of some form. The other 60% are using their private insurance.
Okay. Thanks.
Senator Abler.
Oh, that's pretty good. I'm happy to hear that answer. So. And so some places have a very small commitment to the people we serve here. And so I'm just from there to that. And if they would have said 5%. So thank you. Keep up the good work. I know it's most people that serve medical assistance clients, you have to make it up in some other way. So thank you for your commitment to that. Thanks.
Other questions? I had just one question. When you talk about is there a typical average kind of amount of time that a student might progress through the program? You talked about graduating or finishing the program and being able to return to their K-12 setting and continuing on in that. Is there any sort of typical time amount? Mr. Dale?
Senator Wickland, thank you for your question. Our students average between 9 and 18 months in the program, depending on where they're at in their educational setting. Some of them may actually complete their 12th grade while they're in programming with us, depending on when they started. But for kids, obviously, who are in middle school, they'll return typically somewhere around as much as possible the beginning of the next academic school year from when they started programming.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I know that the school funding formulas and other formulas around transportation are very specific, and I can see where that would be difficult to piece together the funding when there are days where you aren't allowed to access that other transportation funding. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for your time and presenting your testimony today. And Senator Fateh, any final thoughts?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I want to thank you all once again for listening to this bill, hearing this bill, and this organization is doing great work helping students that need help the most. And I'm proud to be the chief author, and I'm proud to have bipartisan support on this bill as well. So thank you.
Thank you. And with that, Senate File 1620 will be laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you, Senator Fateh. And next, we will move to Senator Pappas. Senate File 2873.
Madam Chair, I'll move the bill and the amendment. Oh, no, there's no amendment. I'll move the bill when the time comes. I think this is a great idea. So thanks.
All right, thank you. Senator Pappas, welcome to our committee. Please go ahead and present your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. Thank you so much for this opportunity to present SF 2873. This bill seeks to provide funding to SGU for mental health and wellness services to Hmong veterans, many of whom suffers from trauma from after the Vietnam War, and many of whom are here with us today. These veterans were recruited as young as 12 years old to serve in combat, and those veterans are the ones that are suffering even today and need these services so critically. I do have with me two testifiers who will be speaking more to this.
And welcome to the committee, and whoever would like to go first, please state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair Wickland and members of the committee. My name is Jane Kretzman. I began working in refugee resettlement in 1975 and became Minnesota's first refugee coordinator between 78 and 88. And it's been nearly 50 years since I first met and began working in the resettlement of Hmong refugees. As Senator Pappas was saying, nearly all of whom were veterans or widows from the CIA's secret war in Laos. Arriving with no written language or formal education, Hmong veterans have impressed us by their courage, by their commitment to their community and to this country. Many Hmong veterans in Minnesota were recruited as boy soldiers. The Hmong veterans alive today continue to face persistent challenges, which are emblematic of the wounds of war. Their pain is both physical and emotional, visible and invisible. Shrapnel, hearing loss, and other disabilities are visible. With us this morning, as Senator Pappas mentioned, we have veterans from the Secret War, and I just wanted to introduce Mr. Zong Lor Tao, if he could stand with your permission. And I have with me his x-rays, which still show the shrapnel that remains in his body. Actually 50 years. He was recruited when he was 14. I would pass this around in just a moment. Invisible scars take the shape of memories, nightmares, flashbacks that were present 45 years ago and continue to today. Post-traumatic stress disorder, the formal term that captures these emotionally terrifying aftermaths of war, come from soldiers who were engaged in hand-to-hand combat or as brave pilots who lost family and friends on the battlefield or in the air. Their escape to Laos and Thailand was filled with peril. They arrived in the United States as refugees with no recognition of their service or their status as war heroes. They were misunderstood by their children, who adapted quickly to U.S. society, itself full of regulations and rules. The resulting PTSD has triggered many situations of domestic violence, suicides, and murder-suicides. Many SGU veterans have worked tirelessly to serve the Hmong community as bicultural staff in public and private agencies. During these 40 years, many programs came and helped, but ended before healing was complete. And with many veterans and widows, they are still left alone in their pain. We need to finish this work and to provide the assistance that SGU veterans and their widows and survivors deserve. SGU is an organization that has been a steady source of support for its veterans, but needs additional resources and a place that can restore connections and hope. We know what works: recognition and therapeutic support that is culturally grounded, community-based, and incorporates trusted peers. This proposal, which will be described in greater detail, will actually help move this community forward and help heal the collective trauma of current and future generations of Hmong. I want to thank you for your consideration of SGU's request.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Please state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Tali Vang. I'm a licensed psychologist, and I work at a hospital system within Minneapolis. I'm also a refugee of war. I was born in a refugee camp, Ban Vinai, and I am the granddaughter of Blea Gauva. I'm here to share with you all some insights from being a psychologist as well as a refugee of war. The secret war had a secret army. Hmong soldiers who fought in the war were an ethnic minority group who aligned with America, and due to their alliance, were persecuted as traitors on their own land. Not only did the Hmong lose over 50% of their men during the Vietnam War, hundreds more died by persecution or died fleeing for safety in neighboring countries in Southeast Asia. Prisoners of war, chemical warfare, women and children targeted, global diaspora. The Hmong people suffered significant losses before taking refuge in the United States. And for those that came to the U.S., once they arrived, the trauma only worsened. The U.S. government enacted the scattering policy to purposefully separate Hmong families across the nation to speed up assimilation. Time would show that separating a highly communal and collectivistic community would have detrimental impacts. Social scientists saw an increase in mental illness amongst Hmong refugees, including psychosis and sudden nocturnal death syndrome, where young men who were otherwise healthy suddenly died in their sleep. Hmong families started moving across the nation to be closer to their loved ones. This is what we refer to as the second migration. However, by the time Hmong communities really started to form, the adverse effects had already been realized. Imagine serving a country that was not necessarily yours to begin with, and then having that country leave you to defend yourself after losing the war, then taking your family and leaving everything you know to protect them. If you were fortunate enough to cross the Mekong River, that is. Now imagine everything that you have accomplished, the lives that you have saved, the torture you withstood, the courage that you held, the hero that you are, all of it rendered invisible. Your children don't know your story. They don't realize how smart or strong or powerful that they are because they don't realize that you exist in them. All they see is a tired, forgotten, defeated version of the person you used to be, so they search beyond you for something more to believe in. Many Hmong elders and veterans continue to suffer from the trauma of the war. But they are also suffering from major depression, anxiety, due to intergenerational differences, increased isolation, and language barriers. Many grandparents don't speak the language that their grandchildren now only speak. Intergenerational trauma is the transfer of trauma across the generations. We need to take care of Hmong veterans and their families. And we can start by creating culturally specific and appropriate mental health cares for our veterans. The funding that we are asking for would be used to provide culturally specific and appropriate cares for not only our veterans, but their families as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Senator Pa, do you have one more testifier, or is these are your testifiers?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Members, any questions? Senator Abler.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Just thank you, Senator Pa, and to the men and the women who did all this. As a person growing up right at the age of the Vietnam War, it was a hard time for our country, and I remember a lot of the debates that went on. I didn't know at the time about the heroism of the SGU and how you took care of some people I knew, and you saved their lives. And the treatment that you've gotten at the hand of this country after that is atrocious and wrong, and you deserve to be having statues made for you. And, more than one holiday in your honor for the commitment and the sacrifice you have made for a country that wasn't even yours, for men and women you cared about just because of your humanity. And I'm so happy to be able to want to speak in favor of this project, to do a little bit, to make it a little bit better. There's no way to undo the pain and the challenges you've gone through, and I'm glad you're all here now, and I'm sorry for those who did not get to come here because they weren't alive to make the trip, and others who just didn't come anyway. But sometimes we can do something to make something better than what it is, and this is certainly a good way, and this small amount of money is the very least we can do. But just so you know, to the SGU men and women and families, there are a lot of us who do appreciate this and who are working in our own little ways to give you the honor and the respect that you deserve for the tremendous sacrifice that you didn't have to make. So I'll quit there, but thank you so much for bringing this forward and for making me remember heroes of the past who remain today and the families who still bear the results of that. And God bless you all in so many ways. Thank you.
Senator Kupec.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Pa, thank you so much for bringing this forward. I think Senator Abler, really, it's hard actually to top your words, Senator Abler. I feel the same way. We owe starting off, we Vietnam veterans, we've not treated at all very well from this country, and then particularly this group too, as you're like a subset of another group that we've just not treated well overall. We owe, as the United States, we owe such a debt of gratitude to all the work that you have done for us. And we as Minnesotans, I think, are so happy to have you here as part of our Minnesota family. You also bring so much to our state and make our state such a richer place to live. So thank you for being here and being Minnesotans, and thank you for the service that you provided to the United States. And Madam Chair, as Senator Abel said, this is really such a small amount, and to do some great good. So anyway, we can find a way. We'll sneak this in that budget there somewhere. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Kupec. Any other member comments? Senator Liskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to everybody who came today. I am a very heavy supporter of all veterans, including those that are fighting for a country that wasn't even their own. It's a story that's very little told, and very much an important part of the history of our country and your own country. And it's good that we're going to be willing to do something. And, even a little bit is a start. I think we need to do more, but every part is a start in the right direction. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Pa, for bringing the bill forward, and just want to also extend my thanks for all of you who came, and want to recognize you for your service to our country. And thank you, Dr. Vang, for giving us the background information. That's really helpful. So thank you again, and appreciate the opportunity to learn more, and hope that we can continue to do more to recognize and take action, not just with our words, but to take steps to acknowledge what we can do to help. So thank you very much. And Senate File 2873 we will lay over for possible inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Senator Kupec. You are presenting Senate File 2647, and please go ahead and present your bill.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I have the A1 amendment that I would like to add to the bill. The A1 amendment kind of just clarifies some of the eligible grantees. It's kind of worked with the department. They wanted a little bit of the language cleared up, and then it also does do a couple of changes to the effective dates.
Members, Senator Kupec offers the A1 amendment. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The amendment is adopted. Thank you, Senator Kupec. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Senate File 2647 is a proposal to provide prepared meals statewide to those experiencing food insecurity and who lack the home, health, or ability to cook for themselves. Meals would be targeted to our neighbors not eligible for other federally funded meal programs, and tailored to the cultural and dietary needs of the Minnesotans being served. The funding proposed for Senate File 2647 would allow eligible grantees to work with community partners to bring nutritionally balanced meals customized to communities served. Grantees will prioritize ingredients that are rescued or donated from the food banking network, as well as locally produced or processed ingredients to maximize state dollars and support Minnesota's agricultural industry. The funding in Senate File 2647 is estimated to provide 750,000 meals each year to Minnesotans in need. And Madam Chair, I do have three testifiers here with me today.
Great. Welcome to the committee, and whoever is going to go first, please state your name for the record and begin.
Thank you, Chair Wickland and members of the committee. My name is Robin Manthe, and I'm the Managing Director of Kitchen Coalition, a program of Second Harvest Heartland, and I'm here to testify in support of Senate File 2647 to create a new ongoing grant program that would support the distribution of prepared meals to communities in need in Minnesota. Many of you know Second Harvest Heartland through our work as a food bank, but since 2020, we've been working with kitchen partners across the state to create nutritionally balanced, culturally affirming meals. Our research shows that 15% of people who are food insecure don't have the home, health, or ability to cook for themselves. And even with existing programs, many are not getting the prepared meal that they need. Born out of the pandemic, Kitchen Coalition is now a permanent program of Second Harvest, and we work with 18 restaurants and caterers, over 50% of them BIPOC owned, who turn donated and locally sourced ingredients into freshly prepared meals, and over 75 nonprofit organizations then help us get those meals out to the community. Last year, we provided over 1.4 million meals to our neighbors and invested more than $6 million in local economies. We're working with Lutheran Social Services to request state funds to support this work because we've seen the success of bringing our model statewide. In early 2022, we received $3 million of American Rescue Plan Act funds through the Minnesota Department of Agriculture, which we used to administer a grant program. This funding supported the distribution of over 488,000 meals in the first 9 months of the grant period, and served people who are not served by existing state and federal meal programs. Our CEO, Allison O'Toole, often says, if we can't keep people fed, we can't get much right. And we hope you will consider this as a proposal as a part of your robust food security package. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Please state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Yeah. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Kristen Quenzer, and I am the Senior Director for Meals at Lutheran Social Services in Minnesota. I oversee our nutrition program across the state, and it's my honor to share with you today what the passing of Senate File 2647 will mean for our fellow Minnesotans. For 50 years, LSS Meals has provided meals wherever there's been an ask. In 2022, from War Road to Marshall, Mankato to North Minneapolis, LSS Meals prepared, packaged, and delivered 1.55 million meals through dining programs, youth organization contracts, and what I'm here to speak to you today about this morning, prepared meal distributions. Distributions take place statewide at food shelves, local places of worship, or community centers with volumes ranging from 300 meals to 1,000 meals per distribution. Meals are often handed out within 5 minutes of the distribution starting, and individuals are often turned away because the demand is so strong. These distributions not only provide relief financially, but offer one of the most basic needs we don't often speak of, hunger and the need for nutrition. I'd like to take a moment to share a few of the countless stories that I've experienced while taking part in the community meal distributions. A few months ago, I met a college student when I was volunteering at a program up in Staples. He was volunteering next to me, and he told me he was there to pay it forward. He had received meals the month before. He told me he was the first member of his family to go to college and had a very rough couple of months with classes and wasn't able to work at his job. He told me he was contemplating dropping out of college because he didn't have money to buy food. He found out about the meal distribution and was so thankful to get nutritious food. He was actually able to stay in school and continue with his classes. The day I met him, he had actually asked some of his friends from St. Cloud State University to come and volunteer with him and pay it back. In Worthington, I met a mother who was picking up meals. She said she felt guilty for picking up meals for herself. Her third grade son had been out of school sick for 3 weeks and wasn't getting his school lunch. So she had used her money to feed him instead of herself. As a single mom for many years, I understood exactly how she was making those decisions. The prepared meals she picked up gave herself healthy meals as well as her son. The fact that she felt guilty for getting meals for herself broke my heart. In December, I took part in a distribution where the LSS Meals team prepared 1,700 meals for one distribution. When I pulled up, the cars lined the streets, waiting for 5 blocks. Every car that pulled up was so thankful and told me how much these meals meant to them. I heard stories of people that had to choose between food and medicine and choose between food and rent. The gratitude that they shared with me is something I take with me every single day. Thank you so much for considering this bill.
Thank you for your testimony. It looks like we have one more testifier. And I apologize if I get this wrong, Kanin.
Yes.
Please, welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you, member of the state members. My name is Abdurrahman Isa Kahin, and I'm the owner and the CEO of Afro Daily in Guerilla, a fast casual of 4 restaurants in the Twin Cities. We are Minnesota Small Business of the Year 2023 by the SBA. I'm here today in front of you to testify and support the good work of Second Harvest and Kitchen Coalition. We have been working with the Second Harvest for the past 2 years, and we served over a few 100,000 culturally appropriate meals and balanced nutrition to the elders and people with special disability in our states during COVID and pre-COVID. And because of this program, we kept to sustain our businesses and retain our employees during the tough time with high inflation and pre-COVID. As a community member, I strongly support this bill and continue advocating the work that Second Harvest and the Kitchen Coalition are doing in our communities and state. This program will not only help feed the needy, but is creating more jobs and supporting more small businesses in our state. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Members, questions about the bill? What's it? Oh, Senator Abler. No, nothing. Okay. I guess I don't have questions. It does seem like I didn't realize that there were gaps in, who could access some of these meal programs, and this seems like it would fill some of those gaps and also provide some overlapping assistance to businesses to get involved as well. So, Senator Kupec, any final comments?
No, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the committee. This is feeding people is kind of a thing that's near and dear to me. My mom, when I was growing up, she ran a soup kitchen in our hometown, and I remember my grandfather would always talk about how, when he was a young man before he got married, that they had tough times, and that's how they got by with these food donations. So, and it also, I think also the impact that it has when there's the interaction with the people who are providing the food and the people receiving the food, that you can't measure that also. Sometimes that's the only interaction some people get with other people, and it's a really important part. So, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I thank you for bringing that up as well. So, members, Senate File 2647, as amended, will be laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you. And next, we have Senator Boldon. Senator Boldon, you have Senate File 2599. Please go ahead and present your bill.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you so much. And I do have an amendment, Madam Chair. I would move the A1.
This amendment is in your packets, members. And so Senator Boldon moves the A1 amendment. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The amendment is adopted. Senator Boldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, members, for your consideration of Senate File 2599. This bill would award competitive grants to entities that provide diapers and wipes to under-resourced families across the state. It would provide an ongoing appropriation of $500,000 each year. And members, just to set the stage of why this is important, 1 out of every 3 Minnesota families cannot afford enough diapers for their children 3 and under. 1 out of every 3. And that has impacts in terms of health for our little ones, also in terms of mental health for parents. A recent study published in Health Equity found that diaper need is a recognized public health issue that is associated with poverty, food insecurity, and chronic illness.
And so this is, a way to support people, to be sure that they have what they need for our littlest Minnesotans. And so with that, Madam Chair, would move to testimony.
Thank you, Senator Boldon. I have two testifiers. If you can please state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
My name is Deirdre Conzer, and I'm the Executive Director of the Diaper Bank of Minnesota. I want to thank Senator Boldon for authoring this legislation, as well as you, Madam Chair, and committee members for allowing me to share some information with you about diaper need. According to the National Diaper Bank Network, 1 in 3 American families reports having an insufficient supply of diapers to keep an infant or child clean, dry, and healthy. To make ends meet, many parents reuse soiled diapers or use household items such as T-shirts, paper towels, even plastic bags to cover their baby's bottoms. Not surprisingly, this lack of clean diapers can lead to health risks for children, such as severe diaper rash and infections. Diaper need also impacts families' employment status and overall economic health. Limited diapers can impact access to childcare, as most even free and subsidized facilities require parents to provide an adequate supply of disposable diapers up front. Nationally, 57% of parents experiencing diaper need who rely on childcare said they missed an average of 4 days of school or work in the past month because they didn't have diapers. Currently, no state or federal child safety net programs allocate dollars specifically for the purchase of diapers. Meanwhile, a 2016 study found that providing diapers to families resulted in financial benefits related to healthcare, employment, and education. Overall, it found that personal income increases 11 times for every dollar invested in diaper assistance. The proposed state funding would significantly expand diaper access for families in need. It would support infant and toddler health, increase childcare access, enable more parents to work, and increase families' economic well-being. Please support Senate File 2599 to ensure that every baby has the dignity of a clean, dry diaper. Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you for your testimony. Now, Ms. Kraft, please state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee. Buju, Neno Kazi Kwe Indigenous Cause, Makwa Indodam, Gawaba, Beganika, Gandunjaba, Kakabi Kong, and Da Nongku. Hello, my relatives. My name is Shoshana Kraft. That was my traditional greeting. I'm also known as Hummingbird Woman. I work at the Division of Indian Work as the Director of Programs. I supervise many programs, including the maternal child health programs, which include Women of Traditional Birthing, the Ninde Doula program, the FASD program, and Strong Families. First of all, I want to say miigwech to Senators Liz Boldon and John Hoffman for being the authors of this bill. We appreciate your hard work, and thank you to the chair and the committee and members for being present to hear our testimonies today. Division of Indian Work is grateful for our partnership with the Diaper Bank of Minnesota. We have been partners for 6 years. DIW supports and impacts families statewide. Our Ninde Doula program assists our relatives as far away as the Red Lake Reservation, Onamia, and Hastings, Minnesota. Our doulas travel to meet the needs of our pregnant and postpartum families. We provide baby bundles, baby supplies, and most importantly, clean new diapers for our families. Our food pantry alone has served over 9,000 individuals in 2022. Many of those same families who struggle to keep food on the table do not have the funds to buy diapers. The Diaper Bank of Minnesota has provided 18,000 diapers and 37,000 wipes to Division of Indian Work in 2022. This was not enough to meet the critical hygiene needs of our families. We also received donations from churches, individuals, and we purchased diapers to supplement this need. Many of our families live in rural Minnesota, where it has been hard to make it into the next town. Many families have to make choices whether to buy diapers or to use other means. It is vital for agencies such as ours to provide the basic needs, including diapers to families. Madam Chair and Committee, with your help, and the help is needed now, we can provide much-needed clean diapers and wipes to families across the state. Once more, I want to say thank you to Madam Chair and the committee for your dedication, hard work, and to be here to hear us and to help our families across the state and for future generations. I am happy to answer any questions that you may have. Please support Senate Bill 2599. Miigwech.
Thank you very much for your testimony, both of you. Members, any questions about the bill? No? Maybe I just have one question about how much geographic diversity there is in terms of how you distribute diapers across the state. Maybe you could just say a little bit more about that.
Sure. Thank you, Senator Wickland. I can answer that. Currently, the Diaper Bank of Minnesota serves the 7-county metro area. We place a high value on equity, and so we have tried very hard to target neighborhoods where we know there are people, a higher concentration of poverty, and communities who, for one reason or another, lack access to diapers. With the additional funding, we would begin outreach to greater Minnesota, other parts of the state, and that is part of our long-term plan to scale up and be meeting a greater portion of the need in the state of Minnesota. The amount written into the bill isn't enough to accomplish that as a whole. However, we see it as a really significant step forward as we make the infrastructural changes to meet that greater need.
Thank you. That's helpful. Yeah. Senator Boldon, any other comments?
Just to reiterate, Madam Chair, just the foundational need this is, just meeting the very most basic needs of having a little one is really a significant challenge for many families across the state, and this would provide resources to help with that, and which would have ripple effects in terms of health impacts and economic impacts as well. So thanks for the consideration.
Thank you. Yeah, I as one of the handouts noted about people who have their kids in childcare and the commitments that you have to bring, bringing the diapers, and I can see where in cost that would just be very challenging for people. I appreciate your bringing the bill forward, and Senate File 2599 as amended will be laid over for possible inclusion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for coming. Members, we are going to take a recess for just about 5 minutes. We are in recess. I will call the meeting back to order. And now, Senator Champion, welcome to the committee. And we have Senate File 18. Please feel free to present. I do see you have an amendment.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you, first of all, for being able to come before your committee to talk about Senate File number 18 and House File number 51. There is the A2-1 amendment that I'd like the committee to adopt in order to put the bill in the shape that we believe is important.
Members, you now have the A1 amendment. Senator Boldon moves the A1 amendment. Members, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The amendment is adopted.
So,
thank you. Go, please proceed.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry. I know that you have a full agenda and you all have been here since early today. But, Madam Chair, the bill that's before you that has been amended is really an important bill. And this bill really seeks to be one of the first states to address the historical trauma faced by victims, their families, and heirs. And we know that sometimes when people have violent events that happen in their life, whether that's death or an assault, people experience a very profound effect. And so historical trauma based upon that violent death of a family member, assault, or false accusations, or wrongful convictions have what we have defined as a profound impact on the victim's mental, emotional, and physical health. And if that goes untreated, the trauma only leads to suicide, strokes, heart attacks, or other serious consequences. So what this bill would do, it would establish through the Department of Health, the Emmet Lewis Till Victims Recovery Program to address health and wellness issues of victims who've experienced all the things that I've talked about. We are asking for an allocation of $500,000, I believe it is, in fiscal year 2024, that would be appropriated from the general fund to the Commission of Health for this recovery program. One other reasons why I believe this to be important is because if we want to break the cycle of violence and break the cycle of trauma, we have to be very intentional about it. And we know that can only intentionally happen if individuals if they will have an outlet or an opportunity that's culturally competent therapy in order to deal with some of these issues. So the person who's with me today, and I don't know if the others will appear by Zoom. If they don't, that's okay. We understand that schedules can sometimes be really challenging, but we have Deborah Watts with us today. And Deborah Watts is really important because she is a descendant of the Emmet Till family, and she's often talked about the importance of trauma and those experiences have on families and how we can react in real time in order to give the families the support they need. So she's the co-founder of the Emmet Till Legacy Foundation and the cousin of Emmet Lewis Till, here with us in person. So if you could give her a couple minutes to talk about this program and the significance of it, that would be greatly appreciated, Madam Chair. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Welcome to the committee, and please state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and Vice Chair, and ranking members and committee members. I appreciate this opportunity to be here. Again, my name is Deborah Watts. I am the co-founder of the Emmet Till Legacy Foundation. I'm a resident of Minnesota, Plymouth, Minnesota, and have been here since 1988. So a long time. Raised my family here. We started this foundation in 2005, and it's legacy family members that started the foundation. And it's all in the memory of Emmet Lewis Till and his mother, Mamie Till. Our family connection is that we're cousins. My great-grandfather and Emmett's great-grandfather were brothers. And through one of our programs, and our emphasis is on education and learning and leadership. And so one of the key themes is creating a legacy of hope and building a bridge from the past to the present and future. And we do that by bringing awareness to Emmet's place in history, the relevance today, by offering scholarships and programs, curriculum, and opportunities that support, equip, engage, and educate, and empower, and inspire our youth, women, and their families to achieve their fullest potential for a better tomorrow. And that's something that Emmet Till did not have a chance to do. Emmet was visiting relatives in Mississippi at the tender age of 14 in 1955. He was kidnapped by white supremacists. He was brutally beaten, shot in the head, lynched, and discarded like trash with a 75-pound cotton gin fan tied around his neck. And it was tied around his neck with barbed wire. He was thrown in the Black Bayou near the Tallahatchie River in the Delta area of Mississippi. Along the river that we call Mississippi, that's right in Minnesota, so there is that connection. His offense, he whistled at the store owner. She was a 21-year-old Carolyn Bryant Donham. His kidnapping, the lynching, and the trial and the acquittal of 2 of the confessed murderers was a shock to the core of all Americans. And in August 31st of that same year, his mother, through her unspeakable pain and trauma that we're going to talk about, and grief, and her courage, she decided to allow her son's monstrous-looking appearance to be viewed, photographed during his funeral on September 3rd by insisting that they have an open casket funeral. It was seen by thousands who were left horrified and traumatized by bearing witness to the ugliness of racialized violence, yes, a lynching of her only precious son, Emmet Till, at 14, and Bobo, as she affectionately called him. But unfortunately, this type of violence and injustice occurred after actually the slave ships arrived in 1619 on the shores of the colony of Virginia. And in fact, in Minnesota, on June 15, 1920, 3 African-American circus workers, Elias.
You got to shorten the time.
I got to shorten my time?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they don't have
I'm-
time for that.
We're doing fine on time,
We're
so.
okay? Okay. Well, anyway, I'll try to keep this short. Okay, I'm sorry. But anyway, so lynching did occur in Duluth, Minnesota as well. And so what we're here today is to talk about how Emmet Till's mother, through her pain and her suffering, dealing with her trauma, she thought about ending her life, with the thought of her son. So she did this, though, suffering in silence without the benefit of having any therapy or any other kind of support. So she did this through her faith and with the courage that she had. So right now we're talking about historical trauma as well, along with allowing opportunities for families who have suffered similar kind of events in Minnesota to have the kind of services that I think will be a blueprint for us to provide this kind of opportunity for other states to adopt. And so we have the voices of others, hopefully the other testifiers can bring a voice to this kind of effect and what the services could possibly provide, in addition to therapy, memorials, and other services that are definitely defined in the bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much for your testimony. And I see Carrie Johnson on Zoom. If you can please state your name for the record and then begin your testimony. And we're not able to hear you yet, so looks like. And now it looks like you're muted, but I don't know if we can do anything on our end, so. Oh, and we're still not able to hear.
Madam Chair, is it possible for us to go to the next testifier and then come back to Ms. Johnson in
we
the
can do
event that she's
that.
able to resolve her
Yeah.
technical issues?
Yeah, we can do that. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Next, we have Amity Dimmock. Please state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Hello, Madam Chair and esteemed committee members. Thank you so much for hearing me, and thank you, Ms. Deborah Watts, for asking me to testify on this very important bill. My name is Amity Dimmock. I am the mother of Kobe Dimmock Heisler, a young autistic boy who was murdered by Brooklyn Center Police during a mental health crisis. I think that this bill is very important. One example of a reason why Minnesota does have, or maybe it's Hennepin County, does have a victims reparations program where if your loved one is murdered unexpectedly, you get services that would be along the lines of being able to have your mental health costs covered. If there were, like if my son had a child, that those children would get, I believe it's $400 a month. I had found out about this program after my son, and as you can imagine, chose to go see a psychologist, and had a high deductible health plan at that time and was paying out of pocket, and was doing it because I had learned about this program and believed that I would be reimbursed for that. About a year after my son was murdered, when Hennepin County District Attorney Mike Freeman chose not to charge the officers, I was notified by that Victims Reparations Board that none of my claims would be allowed because it's deemed that my son, what happened to my son, was his fault since the officers weren't charged. And I think we need to be really mindful of the fact that we need to take into account things like, DA Mike Freeman was taken off of multiple cases due to sloppiness. His actual colleagues said that he was taken off the George Floyd case, and that was exactly during the time that my son's case was on his desk. So I don't think we can trust that his decisions were complete or accurate. And then just currently, the Ramsey County medical examiner is in the news for falsifying reports. So to not allow the impacted families, as we call ourselves, to have that support is offensive. We know we can't trust the system fully, and we know that historically there have been attempts to make the police not at fault when perhaps maybe they were. And so I would like to just bring that up, that it's very important. I actually put myself into debt, actually sold my house, had to take equity out of my house to make myself right again. That's how it works when we're in this situation. The other thing I'd like to bring up is that a lot of us out of the trauma that we've experienced end up being some of the biggest and most persistent activists for change. So as Deborah Watts is doing what she's doing, myself and Katie Wright, Dante Wright's mom, just formed the Dante and Kobe No More Names Initiative. We need to know that we're going to be healthy to continue to do the work to make the change at the city, state, and federal levels. And so I'd like for that to be kept in mind, that we do end up becoming the biggest advocates for change and need the support just based on that so we can continue to do the work that we need to do. I know that a ton of the people that are impacted families are very faith-based, and they need support in those areas also. And then my final comment would be just put yourself in our position. I think anybody, when something like this happens, wants their loved one's name to be memorialized, to have something attached to it that brings it, that keeps their memory around. So the idea of doing remembrance or legacy initiatives for families, however that might look for any individual family, is really important. So for me, that's the Dante and Kobe resolution that Brooklyn Center passed. We want to get that passed there and then roll it out across the nation. But every step that we do and everything we try to do is challenging, to the point of not only do we experience the trauma of our loved one, but then you turn around and I was just at a Brooklyn Center meeting last night where one of the community members got up and said that everybody on the implementation committee for the Dante and Kobe resolution is anti-police, and essentially we're trying to protect criminals. And that's not true. I'm not anti-police, and my son was never a criminal. So, and other family members have gone as far as getting death threats. So this is what we deal with on a daily basis. For me, we're 3.5 years in. We just need to not be forgotten about, and we need to be supported by the state that we live in. And keeping in mind that we lost our loved ones to state-sanctioned activities. You know, the state is allowing this to happen, and you need to please make it right for us. We are good people. Our children were good people. And I would just like that to be recognized on a state level. And I really, really appreciate your taking the time to listen to this very important bill tied to one of the most heartbreaking, grotesque, gruesome situations in our American history. Rest in peace, Emmet. Rest in peace, Kobe. And rest in peace, all the other families. The list is so long to name. You know, Dante Wright, Jafford Smith, you know, Emmett Till, Kobe Heisler. The list goes on and on.
Madam Chair.
And I really appreciate your time, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dimick. And I'm very sorry for your loss. And I hope that we can take action like this. I see Ms. Johnson on the Zoom. Should we try?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Please state your name, if you can state your name for the record, and begin your testimony.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Carrie Johnson. I'm a licensed independent clinical social worker, and I represent both children and families. I am an advocate for children and families. I want to talk about historical trauma. Historical trauma can be carried from one generation to the next generation, and it is often referred to as transgenerational trauma. It isn't always easy to recognize. It is often covert, subtle, and undefined. Trauma in children is often seen as a behavior problem, when in actuality, it is negative coping skills for trauma. Transgenerational trauma goes from one generation to the next. Trauma surfaces through families as mistrust, anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues. Adults with unresolved trauma has a high rate of unemployment, poverty, as well as alcoholism. This is just to name a few of the issues in generational trauma. Untreated trauma will also result in emotional and psychological scars. Historical trauma comes from the past, the present, and the future. I just want to emphasize that the Emmett Till Victim Recovery Program will help provide the necessary services for family and children dealing with unresolved trauma, and it will also provide a breakthrough in the cycle of transitional trauma. I want to thank you for your time and for being able to share this information with you, especially when we look at families and children that are dealing with unresolved transgenerational trauma.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming back, trying again. So thank you very much for all the testifiers. Members, do you have any questions or comments about the bill? Senator Liskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Senator Champion. I'm reading through the bill, and I saw in the amendment we fixed kind of one of the questions I had on page 1, line 11. The words government-sponsored activities. So we fixed it there, but going through the bill, there's a few more spots that it's listed on page 2, line 3, and again on page 2, line 16, 17, and page 2, line 20. So I think the definitions, I think you're trying to fix the definitions with the first adjustment you did. Maybe we need to just go back and do that for those as well. I think that's something I wanted to point out.
Madam Chair, to
Senator Champion.
Thank you for catching that. So certainly we'll make sure that it's fixed.
Thank you.
Any other members? Questions, comments? Senator Champion, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts, Madam Chair. Again, thank you, and thank you to the committee. And I hope that this is included in your omnibus bill. but it really simply focuses, this bill focuses on holistic wellness. You know, we don't want to just focus on what happened, but give people the tools and the opportunity to work through the trauma and their challenges, because we want them to continue to live up to their God-given potential. We don't want to ignore it. We want to validate their feelings, but also help them deal with the things that they need to deal with in a culturally informed healing program. And that's what this is and will be. And we thank you for taking the time, and we look forward to being able to provide this service.
Would you mind reading that quote from Mamie?
And the
Thank you.
My testifier just wanted me to read this quote. We must impress upon our children that even when troubles rise to 7.1 on life's Richter scale, they must be anchored so deeply that though they sway, they will not topple.
And that's our community as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And it does look like a very innovative program, and certainly something that is very needed, and I appreciate your bringing the bill forward, Senator Champion. And Senate File 18, as amended, will be laid over for possible inclusion. So thank you very
Madam
much.
Chair.
Thank you.
Members, we have completed our schedule today of bills, and seeing no other work before us, our meeting is adjourned.